go ahead and get started? Okay, great. Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for attending our December meeting. My name is Rebecca and I'm the APA leader. Today's meeting is going to look a little bit different. We are hoping to get some feedback from our APA members regarding the future of APA, what we want 2023 to look like. So before we jump into some of the questions that leadership have come up with, I just want to give some space first for any new members who haven't introduced themselves.
I'm Jim. I've introduced myself before. I guess I'm not on that. There we go. I've introduced myself before, but I'm still pretty new.
Welcome. Okay, anybody else?
I'm Sarah. I'm in Arvada. I found this group, I think, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or 7 months ago. I am a PA. I work in the safety net healthcare space. And I'm just, I guess, more interested in kind of what is this group about. I'm very involved in advocacy, work in Colorado Academy of PAs as one of their board members, and I'm on a bunch of other patient advocacy groups. So yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, anybody else?
It's Sarah Gallo. How do you spell it?
Any legislators in the room? I don't see anyone online.
Nope.
Okay. Any leadership updates?
Yes.
Yes.
Should I any particular place I should stand? If you, well, you can just speak from your seat and the owl will point
The
to
owl will follow you around.
if you hope that's comfortable for you.
Let's see if it works. Let's see.
Oh,
Yep, it's
well,
following you around.
Okay. All right. Because it's kind of hard.
There it goes.
Okay, here we are.
Bam, you're up.
I'm Kathy Blake, and I'm the healthcare action team leader, and we have a pretty active group. Right now we're having a big legislative event at the Capitol coming up on Monday. We have a 10 a.m. meeting with Aaron Silverstein, who is Senator Rachel Zenslinger's aide, and we're going to talk about our push to get single-payer universal health care, and a little more on that. The healthcare, and then we're also planning a healthcare movie night on Friday, January 13th, from 7 to 8:30 on Zoom, and we're going to have a discussion. We have our meetings every month, the second Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. And this time we're going to have a guest person. Former Senator Jeannie Nicholson is going to be there, and she's going to talk about the coalition plans that, from all these different groups that are getting together to push for single payer universal health care. And basically the whole thing is there's going to be a two-step process, and Representative Andy Basenecker is heading the process of drafting a bill to 2024 is when we're actually going to do a reference, try to get it on the ballot. And the 2023 bill that they're working on right now is going to have more detail about the numbers, how we're going to pay for a single payer universal health care, and how it's going to affect people, and how it's going to affect the economy. And so that's the draft of the bill should be coming out before the holidays. So we're looking forward to that, and there's a lot going on, and we're welcoming new people to come to our meeting. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Morrison. I'm the anti-war action team. We have over the 6 years of APA, we've done a lot of things. We put on four very informative programs for APA. We've lobbied our members of Congress, done penny polls, and we've handed out anti-war literature at Harvest Fest and other public events. At the present time, we have lost some key people that were really involved. So if anyone wants to get involved in anti-war, we would very much appreciate it. If you want to lead anti-war, become the leader, that would be fine. Or if you want to co-lead anti-war, I can continue to help co-lead. Or if you just want to come and learn about what's happening in our Biden's very dangerous foreign policy of increasing animosity and conflict between the superpowers, and massive increase in military spending. The proposed budget is $877 billion, which is over $100 billion more than last year. Anything you can do to help us out, you can let me know. I'm at coachsong@gmail.com. So if anybody wants one of those. I just want, while I have the floor, I want to just think for a moment of what it would mean if we did not follow Biden to massive military spending and confrontation with China and Russia. We would have a more real possibility of saving the earth from environmental collapse. We'd have more resources for things we should be doing: better schools, better infrastructure, stronger safety net, there'd be less racism, a more stable and humane world, less burden on our fewer attacks on our rights and less surveillance, less trauma at our borders, because our foreign policy is one of the drivers of immigration on our borders. And we could once again stand for peace, liberty, and prosperity in the world instead of war and tyranny. I know that anti-war can be rather daunting. It's a steep hill, but we don't have to climb it alone. There are many other people working on it, and they can use our help. There's Code Pink, there's Rocky Mountain Peace and Justice Center, there's About Face Veterans Against the War, there's Veterans for Peace, there's World Beyond War, and there's a congressional caucus called the Military Spending Reduction Caucus. Also, we don't have to climb the whole hill. We can educate our own community, and we can educate our members of Congress, which are receptive. We've been involved in Brittany Pedersen campaign, so there's an opportunity there maybe to influence her. So anyway, if you want to help with anti-war, critical issue, we would welcome anybody come help us. Thanks.
Political action, I think we're feeling pretty successful after this last year. And so I certainly can't take all the credit for that, but APA was really involved with a lot of letter writing or postcard writing. We did lots of calling, we did lots of texting. So I'm feeling really, really good about that. And the next big thing will be the city council races this coming year, 2023. Our mayor is up, and District 2 is up, and at-large seat, which is term limited, so it's an open, and District 4, which I would love to see a turnover in District 3 and 4. It would just make me dance in the streets, and definitely we got to get rid of the mayor. So
it's the mayor and then District 2 and District 4 and the at-large.
And
One
at
of- one of
large,
the
yeah,
at-large. So, District 2 is Lauren. right?
Lauren,
If I thought Randy was District 4.
he's one. No,
District 3 is going to be up, right?
If Marriott runs for mayor.
so District 3, if Marriott runs for mayor and loses, he'll go back to his seat on District 3. Because he's got 2 more years on that seat. Bob Piper in the at-large spot is term limited. Lauren is up for re-election. She served 4 years, so she's up again. And then District 4, which is David Jones,
Oh.
out that way.
My way.
Far, you know, nice man, not my politics. Very charming, but not my politics. So I would like to see that one turn over too. So I'd love to take all 4. I'll be happy with any. So that's the kind of work that will be coming up. Same kind of stuff. We're going to be knocking on doors. We're going to be texting, maybe. You know, that takes a little bit of money from the campaigns. But anyway, that's what's coming up. And I will take all comers for help because sometimes I'm a committee of one and we just kind of pull in people. But I would love to have a real planning committee. It would be great. Thank you.
Silly question. Is Rachel Zinzinger gonna run for mayor?
The worst
That's-
kept secret in the world.
Yeah, that's the worst kept secret in the world. But she has not and won't
Commit?
commit for a while yet because nobody wants to have
No,
a,
no, she's still in the state legislature, so
Yeah.
she
She's
doesn't
still
want
in
to
the
get
state
used.
legislature? So
Yeah.
does she get out of the state legislature just in time to get into the mayor, or are we gonna lose them?
no, she would have to resign and give up 1 year.
And she's on the budget committee now, yeah, so she likes that, so.
Yeah.
But that's the
Well, I don't
biggest,
know.
that's the big rumor, but it's supposed to be down. But
And they don't have to actually commit till the beginning of August. That's the cutoff
Right.
date to.
Okay, any other leadership
so
announcements?
it's
Oh, sorry. I see Taylor and I see Mindy.
well, Taylor, do you want to go first?
Okay, I'm on the environment team, and we have not been doing anything for several months because we were working on the elections. But starting with the first Thursday of the month, which would be January 5th, then we're going to start doing monthly meetings again. So if you're interested, be sure to get a hold. And I'll be sending out a notice probably around the first of the year that we're going to start doing our meetings again.
Hey, Taylor, do you have any feel for the issues that you guys might work on this year? Or is that
No,
still
but
too-
I think that the first meeting, that's exactly what we'll be talking about. In fact, what I was thinking that we could do is we could invite probably Randy Mormon, who is the city council liaison with the ASAC committee, which is the Arvada Sustainable Advisory Committee, and then maybe whoever the chairperson of ASAC is right now. And we should try and coordinate with them and see if we can't get some action on some items here. One that I would really like to see is citywide composting.
Great.
Can't figure where the hand raise is, so I'll just raise my hand. I'd also suggest that you take a look at the Jefferson County Climate Action Plan, which is just in its final stages. It goes to the commissioners this coming week for approval or for their recommendations or changes. I was on the steering committee for that, and there's some really good stuff in there. And one of the things that it does that ASAC hasn't touched in our discussions is the whole issue of equity and how important equity is in terms of environmental issues and climate change. and how unequally people are impacted by environmental issues and particularly by climate change. And it hits that one head on. And I learned a lot from being on that steering committee. So I'd suggest folks take a look at that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Mindy Moore, and I lead the team for affordable housing for EPA. We had some success with the city. They are hiring a housing development specialist and forming a housing advisory committee. And in fact, this month is the time for anyone who wants to apply for any of the city boards or commissions or committees, whether it's the housing advisory committee, there's a vacancy on the sustainability advisory committee. There's parks and festivals and urban renewal and economic development and maybe even their planning commission. I did share the city's link on our Facebook page, on our Facebook group, and then hopefully in one of our next newsletters, call to actions, we can also let people know about that as well. The city will also be having a study session for council members on the issue of homelessness. Looks like it'll be January 9th. I need to confirm that, and then I'll get the word out to people. So this is something you can watch on Zoom. You can't make comments or show up, but you do get to see the city council members in the raw. You know, they're pretty frank about how they feel about things. You can get a sense of what they're talking about and what direction they're going to give to city staff. So thank you.
Any other leadership announcements? Okay, well, let's jump into our listening session. So, as most of you know, we have city council elections coming up in 2023. We've got quite a bit going on, and in the last couple of months, APA leadership has gotten together and really started questioning how we want to move forward with 2023. We also have some leadership vacancies coming up. Technically, I am, I don't know what the term is, Robin. My term is up in January of 2023. There are a few other leaders who have expressed that maybe they would like to step down from their leadership position or change what their role might look like on a team. So we really just want to get a feel for how you all are feeling, as well as kind of gauging if any of you are interested in leadership positions. So with that, I will jump into the first question, and we would just love some really candid feedback. So, and APA leaders, I'm just going to kind of jump in and out of order here so that I can at least get everyone's question, one of their questions asked. So I will start with, what keeps you awake at night, and what are you doing to cope?
One thing that keeps me awake at night is the struggle to deal with the environmental crisis and the inertia. There's so much inertia that how do we shift gears in time? While I have the floor, I'll just throw out the other one that everyone knows I'm concerned about, and that is Biden's highly militaristic foreign policy that's antagonistic to the other superpowers, and seems to me to be going to World War III. I don't want to be too dark, but that's what it seems more inclined to be constructed to sell weapons than anything else. That's I could,
Well, nothing keeps me awake at night, but I certainly would be concerned if APA disintegrated.
Yeah.
That would be upsetting to me.
Yeah, I think that we need to figure out how to do outreach, particularly to younger individuals. So I see a lot of gray hair around here, and speaking as somebody who's a team lead and who is certainly falls into the gray hair category, I would be happy to step aside for a younger individual who wants to step up.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to a lot of the new people when they're brand new. And the reality is they work and they have children. And I think that's not that they're not doing anything, because I think they are. One of the things that always surprises me when I get discouraged that we have almost 600 people in our membership, and I think, well, you know, how come it's the same people? Da, 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 da. This is what my head says. And then when I get talking to them, I realize they are doing all kinds of things that are activist and involved, and then I feel better, because it doesn't have to be our stuff. You know, it's about engagement and being active, and I think that's one of the reasons, though, Taylor, that we don't see a lot of activism within our own group.
I love that, Pat. That's so well said.
Yeah.
And whatever we
Yeah.
can do to support, if there are, you know, young or old, but, you know, to the point about the busy younger folks who have kids, if they're working on some project that they have, you know, 15 minutes a week for, Allison, I want to do whatever we can do to support that administratively, like to keep the structure of APA going, to keep our group, you know, keep our weekly calls to action, so that if they have that 15 minutes a week to do, you know, some kind of posting or whatever it is that they're doing, that we're there to support them.
yeah. Also, I think there's a lot of young groups like Sunrise Movement and others that some I'm not familiar with, and we could, you know, try to be more aware and maybe even advertise their stuff on our Facebook page and stuff, because some of these groups are really active and really effective.
I think that's a good idea. There was another woman who I was talking to who was trying to get a contact with all of the leadership in, there's like Arvadans for Social Justice, there's some other groups that do LGBTQ activism in the schools and stuff, and try to get like a group leader in all of those groups kind of in communication with each other, so that they can kind of cross promote events and issues that are happening. And then as far as like being a young parent with a full-time job, that is true, and it is hard to like find the time. I think sometimes, but I think if there's very specific action items that we can get involved with, like letter writing, like if we can really promote that. And I know I probably joined APA like right after you guys were finished with the, like in the middle of that letter writing campaign, but I think that's really good, something they can do at home after the kids have gone to sleep, that sort of thing. So I think I would be sad to see this group disappear too. I think there's a lot of like really good information coming through this group, and I think we just need to maybe find like action items that are digestible for our community to get them involved.
Action items instead of action teams, maybe we're just spreading ourselves too thin, trying to focus on some broad issues.
I mean, there's so many issues to focus on, and not that any one issue is more important than another. I mean, I think a lot of us have a lot of broad concerns, like our concerns are not narrow. So I don't know
I think
necessarily the answer to that.
The action teams, since they concentrate on an issue and they research an issue, they're in a real good position to create action items
Mhm.
that people can connect to.
Yeah, I think that would be a role of each action team would be
Yeah.
like, okay, so we've researched this issue. We're very well knowledgeable of how it's impacting our community or like communities across the nation. Then what? Like, what are we supporting? What are we pushing forward? And then try to bring people in on that action item.
But I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Looking at the sparse attendance we have online and here today, how can, like Pat said, how can we avoid disintegrating? But because an action team of one person isn't really an action team
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's what worries me.
Well, it is this meeting particularly, it's after an election, it's holiday season. People are fatigued. We just like did okay in this election. So we're like, all right, time to take like a breather right now. So I think a lot of people are feeling like, I'm just gonna chill through the holidays and then, I'll get more involved again come spring. That's how I would feel right now, just
Yeah.
kind of like exhausted. Okay. After the election was over, I felt very much like, okay, I don't have this constant anxiety anymore.
I know,
So
I
I feel better, like I need to sleep. Yeah.
Well, and I think what Allison was saying too is that's how I viewed my role in the political action team, because I do have the time to sit down and make a spreadsheet of everybody that's running and, and kind of watchdog those and get a little bit of information about each person and stuff. And I have time to do that. And I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff, and then that does kind of create that action item of, oh yeah, this person is kind of interesting to me, or I now have the information that I can at least vote whether we're going to endorse this person or not. And then once we endorse, am I going to plug into writing postcards or whatever? So I think what Robin was saying too is, we could do, a lot of us can do some of that administrative stuff as members of APA that have time, and then maybe facilitate this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about the attendance today. I think that you're going to see ebb and flow of membership participation as it gets closer to elections and the farther away from elections.
Right.
Like that's just going to be natural group participation. And then the people that are really motivated and have time will come and keep the group alive. And I think that, staying active with the emails and on social media will help just show that we're still here. We're still.
Right. I think we had really good energy in the October meeting because we served the purpose.
Yeah.
And people wanted to ask questions about all the amendments and stuff.
Mhm.
And then we had really good energy last month because people wanted to talk to people about what happened and connect. So I'm with you. I don't think we should be too concerned about this. But yeah.
But I think that's a
We
good
do need to-
point.
Right.
Those were the two, they were standout meetings.
Right.
Even though one was a potluck, but because there was so much interaction
Right.
and so many ideas. So, if we can formulate meetings with that in mind, that's what people are looking for,
Right.
then that might help us. But Allison, I wanted to ask you, is the young person representative here?
Representing the youth.
Yeah.
So I always feel like if you put out there, okay, here's 20 action items, very specific. And but people are busy and they're looking at it, and oh yeah, and I do this, and, oh yeah, I'm going to make that call to the senator, blah, blah, blah. But if I called you and said, Allison, this week, do you think you could make 2 calls to your senator on any topic that is of, that's got your passion? Or when we ask people direct, I mean, I don't know how we do this, the 500 members, but people will say, I think, are more inclined to say, yes, I can do that
Yes.
one thing this week or this month or whatever it is.
I think that's a great idea.
Definitely.
Yeah, and make it more direct, because if you just kind of email out like a list of things to do, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I just like, I see the list, it gets either buried in my inbox or deleted. I think, yeah, I'll get to that. But like on campaign things too, like if somebody texted or called and asked me to do a very specific thing, like, could you text this many people? This is how easy it is. I think sometimes a laundry list is intimidating and they're like, well, maybe somebody else will get to that. But a direct like text or call, like a phone tree kind of thing, I think probably would be very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, especially if you were to make it like, you probably know what I'm interested in. I know what you're interested in. So it's like, hey, there's this issue on there that you might be interested in tackling. I could probably call you and tell you to make some phone calls. Like, I'm sure that different people have different interests, and they're not going to go through that whole act. I know I don't read that whole call back. I try to, but I don't make it all the way through it. I'm sure there's some issues on it that might be interested in doing.
I think it would be a good idea to put out a survey, like, and with your preferred contact method, phone number, email, but also interest
Your
items.
interest items,
Yeah,
yeah.
like say, are you top 3 issues you're interested in? And then we can reach out. There's this climate bill that's on the table. Can you call our senators today? And we can text people, hey, this is Allison from APA.
I know you're just about that climate thing.
Whatever. Yeah, I know you're interested in
Accomplishment.
climate. Here's this
Yeah.
thing. Can you call your senator? Or can you send this letter? I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's better to, focus it, because I know if I see a list of 1 thing I might do it, 2 things I might do it, 3 or more, my brain overloads and I just
Yeah.
go on to something.
Mhm.
Instead of picking one, you just, no, I'm not going to do it.
So Robin has valiantly been doing weekly calls to action and covering a lot of things from Indivisible and the action teams and everything else. Is that too much? That was my
Yeah.
question, Karen.
No,
Johnson raised.
I wouldn't, that thing is wonderful.
Yeah.
That call to
keep
action is
doing it.
wonderful. It's wonderful, wonderful,
Because
wonderful.
I don't know how you whittle it down.
What I would say to add to that
Issue that you're not
is to
gonna
have
have.
somebody call, like if there's some issue that somebody's interested in, is to make a point to call them or text them or something. I know you're
But
interested in this
who's
issue.
going to make that call?
Yeah.
You are.
I want to sort of bring the conversation,
I can have.
That's what I'm saying,
I can
like,
have
maybe
policy.
people that,
right. I think it would be an interesting transition to talk a little bit about leadership in our action teams. How do our members feel about our current leadership and action teams? Do we feel like
Before we do that, there's a thing that keeps me up at night that we haven't gotten to.
okay.
Can we
Sure.
do that? Because I am so concerned about the movement in the US towards an authoritarian government, and the hate, the Nazism, the nastiness that is going on. And I think right now, a lot of us are going, well, we squeaked through that election, as opposed to, oh my God, we're still facing a huge crisis in this country. And I think that's so uncomfortable that people aren't paying attention to that. And I think APA needs to pay attention to that. So.
Harriet, you broke up. Can you repeat your last sentence?
Needs to what?
I just said, I think that APA, that around us, people are getting complacent. We need to not get complacent.
Yeah, the divisions are so deep that some voices, particularly ours and theirs, and the right wing, different groups see each other as enemies. So once you're labeled an enemy, there's nothing you can do to communicate. So what do we do to, I mean,
We need to find a comment in it.
Let's go more.
You laugh, but like, I work with all these Trump supporters and they're just adamant that Trump is everything and Biden's awful, and I just call them Putin's little bitch. No, they're like, okay,
but I
well,
understand why you're
I'm gonna be
doing it.
more patriotic than you know,
Yeah.
you just kind of have to shift, you have to find a common enemy.
And I think it's the wealthy.
Yes, you could make the.
Corporations and the wealthy, because
They pay everybody.
yeah, because Trump people that in some ways responding to the same crimes of the wealthy against the rest of us that we are, that they're stuck, that they're.
Maybe we
You know.
should talk about APA and what can we really contribute? I mean, we're talking about Trump now and national and authoritarian, and all of us worry about that. I totally agree, Harriet, and it does keep us up at night, but maybe we ought to talk about, is that something APA can really impact? Maybe we worry about the authoritarianism that's going on at city council and start
Mayor,
there.
out. So,
Right.
You know, we can't solve the world's problems. That's
But
just,
we can let people, Arvada is still a very conservative city, so we can let people know, you have friends here. If we publicize ourselves more, I think that would be very helpful. It's not nice to know you're not alone in Arvada, you know. It's true.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to bring attention to, there's been kind of a side conversation that's been occurring in the chat. And I don't know if people can see that in the meeting or not. But Sarah has been asking some questions.
Nope.
And one of the things that I'm kind of drawing from this is that, so she's somebody who is just coming to us for the first time. And she is like looking at Facebook and trying to figure out just exactly who we are and what we stand for. So I think that we could do things in terms of our public face, Facebook and whatnot, that would be more informative and opening for people in the larger community.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my internet is a mess. So yeah, I mean, I think from the perspective I was originally during like legislative session, just feeling like disconnected from like my local community. I serve like the greater Colorado. I work in a statewide, you know, health equity focused practice. And, you know, I really liked that you guys have some, you know, positions on healthcare and you're in my neighborhood, obviously. And I just also want to be able to contribute because I honestly think if there are people, you know, really trying to push some healthcare initiatives that, you know, providers, you know, we're all patients, but like people who are really informed into kind of like the really nuanced parts of it, you know, I don't believe I should just sit on the side, right? So I really feel like I would like to be involved, but I also have, you know, concerns about like the homelessness in our neighborhood. Also just the fact that like, I guess I just feel that there is a lack of acknowledgement of people struggling in our community that really can't afford to, you know, meet the cost of living, and they've been here a long time. So, you know, I see that being grassroots being really valuable in this scenario, and also talking with some of our councilmen, councilwomen. I wish that it wasn't just actually very gender appropriate, but that, you know, there is a significant amount of
What's the subject?
welcome back. Uh-oh.
Come on.
We're not hearing you.
We're not hearing you.
I think Sarah froze.
Going good. You're
Sarah,
going really
maybe if
good.
you could turn off your video for a minute and maybe that would help.
It looks like the video turned itself off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
she's
someone-
frozen.
Can someone
She
read
mentioned-
that? I
Yeah.
mean, is that?
Sure. You read what's on the chat?
Okay. Nope, here you are.
I don't know why it keeps cutting out, to be honest. I don't know if it's my internet. I'll turn off my video. But yeah, so I mean, again, I'm just coming in. I don't expect you all to explain it to me. I'm very involved in Colorado Academy of PAs and see that there's obviously differing, just, you know, perspectives, but if I can.
Stop again.
The objective of this. I think this computer's my project.
The website, are you familiar with the APA Arvadans for Progressive
Yes.
Action website?
So I
Okay.
shared the website in the chat for Sarah.
Okay, very
Okay.
good, because that gives you some good information about all of us and how to reach us.
Well, I'll give Sarah some information on getting to know our organization a little bit more. But it does raise a really important flag that maybe we're not being as clear about our mission as we should be, which could be confusing some new members or folks who are interested in becoming members.
It says it right at the top of Facebook, you know, what our mission is. I read it today.
Mhm.
And one thing that is on there that I thought, oh, well, maybe that could be adjusted, is it talks about national. And,
Mm,
you know, going back to what can we really have an impact on,
right.
although you're totally national, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And that's
Well, I
what
mean,
this conversation is really for, is to, gauge how we want to be, what we want our presence to be in the future. Do we want to focus more on local? Do we want to continue our national work, or do we need to focus in on certain levels more than others? What are our thoughts
we
on
could-
that?
I think, this is Jim speaking, I think we could build on Allison's idea of polling these 500 or 600 people on our mailing list and list not too many so they can do it quickly, but 5, 6, 7, 8 topics, maybe 1 or 2 of them are national, and then somebody make a spreadsheet of all these folks.
I believe,
So
Yeah.
if you want to send out a call to only the people interested most in environment, you can, or only most interested in healthcare, boom, there
Yep.
they all are. And that will also inform how we
Yep.
decide what our mission is. If we discover that this group of 10 people are a little bit different as far as our interests than these 600 who are not here.
That's great.
I do believe we have, in the past year or so, have surveyed our members, and leadership. We had Leland present the data, no, that was regarding the website, but we did get some feedback. And Caroline is who gave us a presentation on the data that we received. And based on that, it did seem to us like folks were more interested in acting locally. We're really interested in environment team, affordable housing teams. I know that I'm missing some information.
I think, one of our most active and effective teams is the healthcare team, and it's on a state level. I don't think we should dictate where this goes. I think if there's energy on a national issue or state issue or local issue, and we have team leaders to pursue that we should pursue.
Yeah, it's where the energy is.
Yeah.
I kind of like live my life by think globally, act locally, because I think sometimes when you have those national issues, you can get lost in like, well, what can I do? And so you can be thinking about the climate, which is a very like global issue that one person cannot take on, but like locally, we can try to, I mean, I think one of the things I posted recently was like the garbage infrastructure in Arvada and how confusing that is, and why can't we have composting and stuff like that? And so that is something that like this, our state is very terrible at like recycling and composting rates. And like, that's something that we could impact locally. Like we can't change the whole state, but we could change Arvada's recycling rate. And it's not a national issue, but it is like in a way responding to part of that crisis. So,
you know, what's really good about that specific issue that you brought up, the composting, is that was, I think, one of the most successful experiences that APA has ever had, is when we helped push the city to the universal garbage pickup that we have today, the single carrier trash. And it shouldn't be a partisan issue. I mean, I know sometimes it is, but if like, for example, if we adopted, you know, in 2023, APA is going to push for the city to help fund composting, so that, you know, instead of paying $30 a month for your composting, maybe you pay $5, right? Because the city's going to help pay for that or whatever. And we really enroll a lot of folks in composting. You know, that doesn't seem like a Republican Democrat issue. Seems like that should be something that we could use to build our community. And I think that's the key to some of this, you know, hugely partisan stuff, is if you can find an issue like that, that's really effective at bringing people together. And I think it energizes people in APA, because we can knock on doors, we can make phone calls, we can talk to city council. You know, there's just a number of different ways to engage in that, but it's a project.
I really like that idea.
A lot of direct impact on.
I also think there's a lot of education that you, like, it sounds like people are informed in this group, that I think a lot of the issues that I think come up, there's not enough informed, you know, information given locally that people can feel really informed to take a strong stance. And it sounds like you guys do a fair amount of kind of providing context to the neighborhood.
And you know, you guys are raising really good points. And our monthly meetings, we used to have speakers that would come in. For example, you know, Taylor wanted Randy Mormon to come in and talk about composting in Arvada, and you know, and you know what some of the roadblocks are, or you know, someone on the Sustainability Advisory Committee. And I don't think as a council member he would be comfortable doing that himself, but we used to have very informative monthly meetings. But to be honest with, between COVID and everything else, attendance dropped off. So people have better ideas of ways to share information, because it's, you know, email isn't really doing it. The monthly meetings, you know, have sort of dropped off. How can we get people enthusiastic and educated when, again, their time is limited? That's what we're really struggling with. I hate to be the Debbie Downer on this, but that's the whole purpose of today's meeting, is how to energize people and how to make APA a better force for our community. So please, any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I think the speaker series would be great.
Right.
Not too frequent, but like once a month, once every couple months.
And
Having
the action teams are good groups to do that. I like the idea of another survey, because it's been a while, and the survey, I believe, was pre-COVID. So COVID is a very different situation, and to try to find out how to get people involved, because quite frankly, you know, with COVID, Zoom meetings are not the same as in-person meetings. They're just not. You don't get that connection. You don't get that. I mean, appreciate input from everybody, but you know, we do need to realize that we're in a tougher situation. But I think I like the idea of surveying and finding out what our members think, and to continue the allowing it to go where it goes. And if somebody's willing to lead an action team that is doing something progressive, whether it's national, local, or state, I think we should just go with it.
One thing that also I wanted to make, you know, to bring up is that we are close enough to our state capital that we can do things around state, you know, we can go down to the Capitol and talk to our legislators. And that's something that energizes me. I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. And, you know, coalitions also with some other groups that are interested in the same things, I think can be more effective. But I wanted to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that we're so close to the Capitol here and that we can, you know, visit our legislators and do things that would be on a state level that, you know, sometimes, you know, comes from a bottom up rather than, you know, sort of a top down idea.
And I think also the, you know, our state representatives and senators, they know who we are. So
Exactly,
we have
so
influence.
true.
And even with, it's the national issue with Brittany Pedersen, there's people on her campaign that know who we are. And she came and was on the Zoom. So I think we do have influence on a broader level than only in the city of Arvada.
And I don't know if we ever actually stopped doing the informative meetings. You know, I think we maybe took a break because of the election, but you know, I'm up for another one.
Yeah.
If you,
You know, oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I like the idea of having those informative, you know, speakers come in. And I also like the idea of not limiting the topics to people because, you know, usually we've chosen them because we have an action team that has chosen that speaker.
Right.
So we're gonna have an education speaker because Robin is on the education team. And then we're gonna have, you know, an anti-war speaker or a healthcare speaker. But maybe there are some other things that our members might be interested in when we look at the results of this survey that would inform which speakers we could get. So that I think we have, because we're structured in this pretty formal, you know, here are our 4 or 5 action teams. And so this is how we organize things. But our members may or may not be, you know, filling in those specific, those specific interests. So I'd love to see us kind of creatively, in whatever ways we can, think outside the boxes of our current action teams.
And if in a survey, if we could ask any of our members if they are experts or work in an organization with an expert that could come and talk to us, you know, to open it up to them, and we will provide the room and the audience and the advertising if there's something you'd like to talk to APA members about.
Yeah. And I think when we survey them on what they're interested in, we should have an open box for what else are you interested in. And maybe even if we get a lot of stuff in the open box, maybe even do a follow-up survey to see if, well, somebody came up with an idea, a lot of people are interested, but it wasn't listed, they're not thinking of, you know, anyway, just a thought.
Well, I think way back 2017 or so, when we did our very first member interest survey, that kind of drove our programs for almost 2 years, because people said, oh, I want to know about this, I want to know about this. And we did have programs about that. And really, I think kind of our action teams solidified around that information. So I think it's way past time to do it. So I guess I'd really like to see that happen.
I
as
can
well.
take a first stab at the survey and putting it together, so, and then have you guys review and add topics or questions that you'd like to see on this.
So I wanted to break in here for a second. Sarah has her hand up in the chat.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just I honestly love what you guys are saying. It sounds like you guys are a very member driven organization, and that makes me very excited, honestly. Like, I feel that there's sometimes a lot of top down kind of discussion. So it sounds like you guys have been really good at taking action based off of, you know, the group and making sure that voices are heard, which is, believe it or not, pretty rare. So I love it. And I also, you know, from the perspective of, you know, trying to get other people to lobby with me in the space of healthcare, you know, also you guys sound like you've done something right. So from like a member, I guess what I see is that a lot of people don't even know how to start, but they know that you're the right person to talk to. So another thing to bring up is maybe teaching the greater majority of like, what is it that is your like magic, or your, you know, how they can get involved is what, you know, I think could be helpful, just because it can be intimidating for a lot of people. Not myself, but everyone else that I usually try to get involved.
Thank you, Sarah. It seems like you're really interested in healthcare. And who's the healthcare person? Get in touch with Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy would be a great connection.
Yes.
We'll get
Okay.
to her.
So I want to ask a final question because it looks like it's about to be 5 o'clock. But what are you, or rather, are you dissatisfied with anything the APA is or isn't doing currently? What would you like to see us doing more of? What would you like us to be doing differently?
After meeting parties.
Well, I was gonna ask that. I'm pretty new to APA, so I'm like only got the election season thing, but are there social gatherings like, and I think this could be appealing to like a new membership, also a younger membership, of like meeting at a brewery. It's not really a meeting, it's outside of it. It's like maybe a place where kids could come and just be a little casual, like come talk about the things that interest you, come meet a few other members. And it made me think about that, of the different groups too, just sort of doing like members highlights on Facebook. So meet Kathy, she's our healthcare team lead. Like if you have any questions or feedback about healthcare, please get in contact with Kathy, and like maybe posting one of those like once a month, once or twice a month, to kind of introduce team members, so that I think when you see a group of 600 and you're a new member, it can feel really intimidating. And I mean, I found you guys because Taylor was part of the group, and I knew like that I would have my dad around like if I needed it. So you know, I don't know if I would have come to the first meeting. It takes a little bit of bravery and a little bit of like kind of sticking yourself out there. You don't know anybody. So having those meetings where you can kind of be a little more casual, make a friend in the group, or knowing directly who to reach out to about certain things can help it just feel more community based and just a little less intimidating to like join this
The
group.
donkey's your dad?
The donkey is my dad.
We used to have after meeting parties every meeting, and Julie has expressed interest in organizing those again. But I think you're talking about a little more having something where you don't go to a formal meeting and then. But
I mean,
anyway,
a little both.
we used to have those, and those were nice because you just sat around and you could talk about anything. You know, you didn't even. Sometimes it strayed. It wasn't even politics.
Right, you want to be friends with the people that you are being activists with, and that can generate more support, and make it feel less intimidating to get involved. So
And you meet people outside your circle.
I'd like to see more focus on new members, more outreach than a welcome email, more concerted effort to get to know them by everybody, and less on leadership and more on members. You know, maybe on Facebook, like you just talked about member of the month or whatever, member, as opposed to, I mean, I think it's important to know who the leaders are, but that information I think is out there. But I don't feel like, Robin, remember we went to the indivisible thing and a couple years ago, and we talked about why don't people get involved? And, and one person gave us some feedback specifically about us not being that friendly, because it is hard to walk into a new group. But I don't think we go out of our way to get to know them, and I think there's not enough. I think we could do a better job of, I don't know, cheering people on, congratulating them, calling attention. Here's one little example. At the potluck last month or a few weeks ago, we raised a lot of money. People donated a lot. What generosity. They care about us. They want. Well, let's say, hey, look at us. We did this. You guys did this. You know, if you look for opportunity to appreciate somebody, we can find it. It's really easy. And I think we need to do more of that toward our members. I've noticed just recently, I don't know if you all have, we're starting to get better interaction, I think, on Facebook. There's more people who I don't know. So, and that's a good thing, talking to each other. You know, somebody will put something out there and people are engaging. And if we can't engage in person all the time, well, Facebook is always out there. Anyway, I'll shut up.
And I think the last couple of meetings, we have had more engagement. And when we first started, we did have a lot more discussion at monthly meetings. And we had speakers, but we'd have speakers and discussion. And sometimes we'd even break out into discussion groups and do that whole thing where people came, they felt that they had given some input and not just, listen to the speaker and we're part of a big group that asked questions. And you had to kind of compete to get the floor and stuff like that. So I think the last two meetings, we've done a better job of having more input from the people that come.
One option might be to have the team leaders have a blurb that gets printed for the meeting. So you don't need to spend half or 2/3 of a meeting hearing from each team leader. If they have a blurb, here's what we've done, here's what we're looking forward to, here's what we need from other members. You can post it on Facebook, you can hand it out when people come to the meeting, and then you'd have more time for discussion of ideas. Because as a new person, I really like seeing multiple times who the leaders are. So maybe have them stand up so I can connect them with who's on my sheet. Oh, that's Kathy, she's healthcare. She says this, but she doesn't have to say it. And it could make the meetings more interactive.
Well, and they used to be longer meetings, and I wonder if there's been any discussion about that. I mean, a 1-hour meeting for planning next year, and 20 minutes of it was spent on action team meetings. That seems kind of, not very effective. And I wonder, is there any conversation about going back to what we used to do? I mean, especially if we're going to have programs, well, what would a person get to talk in 10 minutes? We used to do 2 hours.
We're 90 minutes.
Pardon me?
We're 90 minutes.
90 minutes,
before.
and sometimes 2 hours. We had 2-hour meetings,
Yeah, it was 4
but
to
it was
6.
all in person.
It was all
And
4 to
sometimes
6.
it was in the sanctuary and sometimes it was in a big room. But that kind of, when we started doing the Zoom meetings, it's hard to sit next to a computer for 2 hours.
For 2 hours, yeah.
And we just couldn't make it 2 hours. That's why we kind of went down. But now we can do hybrid meetings, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question about Facebook? We do have a lot of new names of people on Facebook that we've never met in person and don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Are they also automatically enrolled in our MailChimp database?
I do that.
So they do
Yeah.
get emails as well. Every single one who's on Facebook.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
The people who aren't on Facebook, obviously, they only get the email.
right.
Right.
See, as newer members, would you be comfortable if we said, welcome, Jim? Good, we're happy you're a new member on Facebook, and welcome, Sarah, we're happy you're a new member. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely.
I do that actually. So I run two basically organizations in our public affairs and like social media, and that is extremely valuable. And there's actually an easy way to automate that on your Facebook group where you don't even have to do anything.
You teach us how?
I'm feeling like I'm relating to y'all. I miss being around people. All my meetings are on Zoom. Everyone's all over the place. It's for a good reason, so that we're all accessible. But I have no local community, and I'm realizing Arvada is a pretty, prime place. And you guys seem very progressive. Like, honestly, you're not afraid to try something new, which is so hard. I literally have tried to actually encourage all of the things you guys are talking about in my Colorado Academy of PAs, and it took tooth and nail to get them to do some of that stuff. So I am happy to absolutely help. But I also am a person who always volunteers. So I will say that I would love to teach people how to do it so that they can do it for this org, because I'm doing it for so many, but happy to absolutely teach and like share my insights.
Hey, Sarah, are you on our?
I'll sign on. I'll just like add myself to the newsletter again. I just got a virtual assistant to help keep my email clean. So I'm not sure if I got your emails previously. I don't think I have, because I don't even know how I got this invite to this meeting.
Email in the chat.
Sure.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and I'll come to the next one. I typically try to avoid like on the weekends, but I'm sure you guys have multiple different situations. So
Great. Okay. Any last thoughts? And we'll also have a survey going around now, which is great, where we can continue offering feedback. But any closing thoughts that folks feel like they haven't already emphasized?
I wanted to say something. Rebecca, you have been asking like if anybody has problems with leadership or anything like that. I just wanted to say I think leadership is really great. I think you've been like really welcoming and warm. So I know you're looking for negative feedback, but I don't have any. And I think it's great.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So can I just say I agree, and Rebecca, I think you've done a great job. A piece of feedback is that I think, and first I want to thank all of you guys wearing the masks. That was my ask, and then I'm not there because I've been really sick this week, but I'm finally starting to pull out of it. But I think we should not forget that there is still a pandemic, even though we're in a whole new stage of it, and we're in a let's be normal stage of it. And so let's put that in our thinking about how do we take that into consideration, that there are people who want to be involved but can't be at the meeting in person, who want to be involved and think they can be at the meeting in person, and all of a sudden they're sick the day before and they're not at the meeting or whatever. And it just needs to be a part of our headset and a part of our planning, because it's still a part of our reality. And there's a lot of denial going on that it's not a part of our reality, and it is a part of our reality. So let's just keep that in mind as we figure out what our new normal is. It's got to be a little bit different than our old normal. We can't just say, let's go back to the way that we were. Other than that, I want to say welcome, Sarah. You've brought a lot to this meeting, and I hope you stay involved. And I hope I'll be back in person with people soon, because I don't like this not seeing people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just wanted to point out that we do have both a web page and a YouTube channel. And what we've been doing with these meetings is we've been recording them and posting them to the YouTube channel. I think that the hybrid meeting is a really good idea. I think that we really need to work on better internet connectivity. And I'm going to try and get together with Robin before our next meeting and see if we can figure something out. But I think that both the hybrid meeting and the web page and the YouTube channel are ways that we can reach out to people and try and get folks more involved.
I just want to repeat what Rebecca had said earlier. We have choosing new leadership. So I just want to make a strong plea to anyone that wants to be in leadership, treasurer, or I don't know if Rebecca wants to do it for another 2 years or not, but if somebody wants to step, anyone that wants to step up to be on, either through an action team to leadership or be the head or the treasurer or the secretary or any of those positions, we need you to step up.
Are there,
Thank you.
just as a new member, I don't know, are there elections? Is there a list of positions somewhere? Like what, or, you know, are there
Yes.
people stepping down? Is there like
So
a list?
we have an election for the leader,
Okay,
but we used to have like, you can only be on leadership if you're leading an action team or you're the treasurer. But I think that I mean, I think I'm hearing for you, Bruce, and I feel like I've heard from the leadership team that, you know, we really want to be like, we don't want to be that rigid anymore. And we want to invite people into our leadership group, even if they don't lead an action team, but maybe they have something else to contribute.
Right, but we did elect, last time we, if I remember
did we
right,
elect
we elected a
treasurer?
team,
Okay.
and then we elected specific officers at the meeting. That's what we're gonna do in January, is elect officers. And
Well,
we're
which
pretty-
officers are you talking about?
Well, the head and the treasurer and we did have secretary, but yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I think the thing set out in the bylaws
It's
is
written
a
out in the
chairman and secretary treasurer, and they can be together or split. It doesn't,
I think that leadership needs to have some kind of an ongoing plan that is like, grooming is a bad word, but grooming people, you know, we should always be seeking new leaders to, you know, people who are
Yeah.
knowing enough about the organization, so they are good to, I want to tell you just a little information about 2022. We got a total of 60 new members, 60. 44 of them came through Facebook, 10 came through the website, and 6 came just to a meeting for the first time. And I think that's awesome.
awesome.
To have 60 new people. But again, I think I think that the newest people are the people who are most ready to go.
Yeah.
And that we should have a plan that should be part of the leadership planning and thinking of engaging those individuals. I mean, you two are in this group of 60, and here you are, you know, and I think when I look at the list, not all of them are engaged, at least not in our activities. That doesn't mean they're not engaged, but we need to be more intentional about tapping into these people who were excited enough and interested enough to check us out.
I think that's, you hit the nail on the head. It's great when we have somebody that comes to us on Facebook. Now, how do we plug them in? How do we, you know, give them a role where we, you know, that is in alignment with the ideals that they, you know, why are you wanting to join APA? What are you interested in? But empower them to feel like they're included. And Pat, you've come up with some wonderful suggestions, and I've taken you up on them. I called Jim and I said, hey, you want to help me with this Jeffco lip drop? And, you know, so I mean, we are so lucky to have you as the membership person, because you are in you shine in what you're doing. We should all listen to you about this.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we've discussed a bit on how to get people in with tasks but you know, one of the ways to get involved is get involved in an action team, because, and maybe we need more action teams or short-term action teams, things like that.
Project teams.
But to go to an action team, you're going to talk to people that have the same interest.
well, and I love Allison's idea of doing a social event. Hey,
Yeah.
if you're interested in political action, let's go have a beer.
yeah.
And, you know, I think, you know, you would have the kernel of that group. So I love that idea.
And what you might find is that like certain people attend meetings and a different group attend the happy hours. It doesn't have to be like everybody in this room has to go to the happy hour. There might be people who just prefer to interact that way and get their information that way. And there might be another group that like, I mean, I'm thinking forward to the summer, but like some sort of like outdoor barbecue in a park, but like kids near a playground, that kids can run around, families can come. to be like COVID
Yeah.
safe,
Yeah.
you know, all that, and just kind of.
Those were good days.
Yeah.
Those were good days.
And COVID has changed things, and we just have to think about like how to get back into being social and being safe and all that, so, yeah.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's feedback. This was really helpful. Leadership has a monthly meeting coming up in the next few weeks, so we'll definitely discuss the feedback. We will work with Allison on getting that survey out, and we'll send some outreach regarding what positions are up for grabs come January. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you coming, and happy holidays if we don't see you before then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Bye.
Is there a plan for?
Bye.
Is there a plan